Hello Booktube! Welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and in this video I'd like to show you what I've been reading for the Summer Romance Book Bingo. Now this bingo was created by Sarah from Not Just Romance Novels, and I believe co-hosted by Sissy from Romance Queen of Booktube, and the challenge time frame was June, July, and August, so it's actually still going on. In fact, I still have 3 squares left to fill, but I got to looking at everything I have done so far, and 15 of the books that I have read are series books, and the rest are standalones, and the 3 that I'm still finishing are standalones. And since I don't really want to put 25 books into one video anyway, I thought I would go ahead and show you first the series books that I've been reading, that I have read, and then give me another week or two to finish these last 3 books, and then I will do a wrap-up of the standalones. So I have read some fun books. For the summer, I wasn't really sure at first if I was going to do the whole bingo and try a blackout. In fact, I even announced in my summer plans TBR that I was just going to do one line of the book bingo. And I had said that I was going to do a diagonal from bottom left to top right, and that's probably all I was going to do for the bingo, because I've been reading the Sunshine State books, which I just finished, yay, and I knew I wanted to do Tome Topple and Booktubeathon and all that stuff. So I wasn't even sure if I could really find books that would fit some of the categories that would also go along with my already established TBR and on and on and on. So anyway, when I got down to it though, I only had to find just a couple of books more to fulfill the challenges that, almost everything that I read were books that I had already been interested in reading for one reason or another, or that were already on my TBR or in my 20 by 20 stack challenges, things like that. So anyway, I'm going to tell you what each of these counted for, or what I counted them for. And of course, several of them could count for more than one thing. And so what I like to do is try, when I'm reading something, I like to plug it into the thing that it fits, that I think would be the most difficult to find anything else for. So for instance, book that's part of a series. Well, everything I'm going to show you today is part of a series, so that's one of those things that I didn't necessarily have to fill first. I wanted to see where else I could fit things in until, I made it all work. So that's just kind of how I do it. So for that reason, I don't like to say too far in advance, what something's going to count for, because it might end up changing. So I'll first start with some of the books that I've already talked about in other wrap-ups. Now for Tome Topple, 4 of these books are tomes, so I've already talked about them. I read City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare, and I counted this for a romance that has more than 10,000 reviews. So you guys know these are Shadowhunters books. I also read The Clockwork Princess, and this one's set in historical London, so I counted it for a book set in a major city. These Shadowhunters books, I'm sure I don't really need to tell you what they're about. There's werewolves and vampires and demons and all that stuff, which is not really my thing. I started reading that series, the Mortal Instruments, back when I first started watching Booktube, and at the time, all the big booktubers were reading those, and so I had to see what all the fuss was about. And now I know what all the fuss is about, and I just wanted to go ahead and finish the series, but I'm not going to go on and read any more of the Shadowhunter stuff once I finish the last Mortal Instruments. That'll be enough. Now I know what it's about, and I know that it's not really my thing. So anyway, not horrible or anything, it's just not my thing. Then I also read The Heart of Betrayal, Book 2 in the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. I'm counting this for a paranormal romance, even though the paranormal aspect of this book is really very small. I think it's there, but it's very light. And the other 2 books, of course, could have counted much more for paranormal, but I needed those for those other challenges, and so I'm counting this for that. I love this series. I can't wait to read the 3rd one. It's just a really good series. Then the other tome is what I counted for my historical romance, A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. This is book 1 in the Mark of the Lion trilogy, and it's very barbaric. I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it. It is a Christian fiction, and really the romance aspect is a kind of a small aspect of it to me, and it's very tragic. So I don't know. I wouldn't have first thought romance when I picked this up, but I did find it on the Audible romance package, so I was able to listen to it as part of the package, so I didn't have to pay anything extra for it. And the second two books, the second and third book, are not on the Audible romance package, so I'll have to either buy those from Audible or I'll just read my print copies. Anyway, it was barbaric and tragic. It was about a young girl who, a young Jewish girl who was a Christian, and she's sold into slavery to a Roman family, and the love interest is between her and the son of the family, but it doesn't really, I mean, it's not your typical romance. I mean, he wants her, but she is telling him, you know, well, we don't have the same beliefs, and plus it's not really appropriate, and all of that. So, you know, she sticks to her gun, so I'm proud of her for that, but it's not your traditional romance in the sense that there's a happy ending, because it's pretty tragic. So, I don't know, maybe it didn't end the way you think it does. I don't know, I'm curious to see in the next book. So, moving on. Now, for Booktube-a-thon, you guys know I read all the Butternuts. And I have two different series that have Butternut in the title. This one I enjoyed the most. They were so cute. This is the Butternut Creek series. Takes place in Butternut Creek, Texas, which I don't think is a real place. Centered around the minister of the First Christian Church and the ladies who kind of try to run things. And it's just super cute, the series. The minister is very young. He's like 25 when he takes the job, and he's like 27 by the end of the third book. The Welcome Committee of Butternut Creek. The series is by Jane Myers Perrine. I counted this one as a book that is part of a series because, like I said, all of them could count for that, but this is the one that that I did count, and it was just super cute, just a lot of fun. So then the second book, The Matchmakers of Butternut Creek. Now, I just felt sure when I picked these up that somewhere on the covers of one of these three books there had to be a cat or a dog, because there was the challenge to read a book with a cat or a dog on the cover. So I looked very closely at this one. Now, I thought maybe there would be someone walking their dog down here and all that. I just had a feeling it was there somewhere. I just kept looking at all the little details, and finally I spotted it. Can you spot it? There is a cat in the window right here. I was so excited. I said, I knew it. I knew there had to be one there somewhere. So this counted as my book with a cat or a dog on the cover. And then this one, The Wedding Planners of Butternut Creek, I counted as a sports romance. Now, it still features the minister and all of that, but we learn in the first book that the minister likes to play basketball. So he is just trying to, you know, kind of blow off steam one day, and takes off down the street. He's still kind of getting to know people. Nobody really knows him. He's the new minister in town, and he finds a basketball game going on in the park, and he asks to join in. So he starts playing basketball with these kids, and they don't know that he's a minister. And then later, when they find out he's a minister, they're like, well, you should have told us, you know, now we got to be careful what we say around you. And he's like, no, you don't. I just came to play basketball. And so he finds out, though, that one of the kids is homeless, him and his younger sister. So he ends up, I believe in the second book, taking them in as foster children. And so in this third book, the boy is up for a basketball scholarship. And so one of the love interests in this book is his coach. And so the coach takes the boy. They go, you know, looking at colleges, trying to figure out which college he's going to go to, because he's gotten offered all these scholarships and all that kind of stuff. So this one's definitely very basketball related, even though you've still got the same characters from the first book, you know, the minister and his love interest, and the ladies who are trying to run things and be matchmakers and all of that. So anyway, though, I'm counting this one for my book featuring sports. Then my other Butternut series, I read the first two. The sixth book comes out this year, and there's a novella that I'm currently reading, but I've read the first two. The first one is Up at Butternut Lake by Mary McNear, and I counted this as my book set at the beach. Now, you're looking at the title probably thinking, but that's a lake. That isn't necessarily a beach. And I wasn't sure either. I was pretty sure I still was going to make it fit, you know, the round peg in the square hole. But when I was listening to the second book, they referred to the beach at Butternut Lake. So I do know that there's a beach at Butternut Lake. Now, the second one, Butternut Summer, I'm counting as a book set in a small town. And it really works out because the town that's nearby is called Butternut. But this first book takes place, the two main characters live in cabins across the lake from each other, on the lake. And then this book is set in, the main character lives and works, she owns the diner in the town of Butternut. And it's centered around her and her daughter. And then her husband, they were married like 3 years and then divorced, and now he's been gone for like 17 years. And they split up because he was a womanizer and a drunk and just, you know, not behaving. And so now, 17 years later, he has gotten his life together. He's been in touch with his daughter, and now she wants him to make amends with her mother. So that's part of the story in this one, in Butternut Summer. And there's a couple of other things too. The daughter, she falls in love as well, and so there's their story and all of that. The next book, the novella, is 2.5. It takes place at Christmas, and I think there's going to be a wedding. I won't say who. And then the third book, book 3, Moonlight on Butternut Lake, I have not read yet, but I've got it checked out. I'm going to be reading it very soon. I just wanted to show it to you. So anyway, so that's all of my butternuts that I have read so far this summer. And then the next series that I have read at least 2 of, and actually there's only 2 in this series. This is by Geraldine Dawson. It's the Cedar series. The first one is My Big Old Texas Heartache. This is about a girl who, well, a woman, she got pregnant right out of high school. It was just kind of a one-night thing, not anybody that she had been dating. But then when she found out she was pregnant, then I don't know if she left on her own or her father kicked her out. I can't remember. But anyway, she's had some contact with her family, but not a whole lot. And it's just a little small town in Texas, so the gossips are, of course, rampant. And when she does come back into town because her father's having health problems, the people in this town are so maddening sometimes because they just won't let it die. They have to know who the father is, and they just want to know. And you know, they'll come up to her and say, "Oh, hello, you're back in town. You know, who's the father of your baby?" Well, he's 17, and it's just crazy. But you know, it makes for an interesting story, I suppose. There's always got to be people in a story that you don't like, and so there are some real busybodies in this story. But anyway, the father of her child does know that he's the father, and he's been helping all along and been sending support. However, the son, I believe the father, he got married and had another child, and at some point, and then I guess his mother was engaged. I don't know if she ever actually got married. Maybe she did. Anyway, I don't know. The stepfather started just planting some nastiness in the son's mind about his biological father, which then kind of turned the son away from his father. So now they're back in this small town. The father is there, and so they've got a lot of things to work out. So that's kind of the story. I thought it was a really good story. Then, and for the mother, there is a love triangle. So there's a guy she had just started dating in Dallas before going back to the small town of Cedar, and he comes into the picture, and then there's the father of her son. So the man that doesn't get the girl is the main character of this book, which is book 2, My Long Tall Texas Heartthrob. And so I won't say who it is, but this is a fun story set in the same town. It's a little steamier than the first one, and more foul language. I don't know why it changed, but I just felt like it was not as enjoyable for that reason. But I am counting this as my romantic suspense book because there was some criminal activity and some intrigue and things like that. So this one can count as romantic suspense. I'll have to look and see what I counted this one for. for a book written under a pseudonym, because I found out recently that Geraldine Dawson is actually Emily March, and that was why I wanted to pick these up in the first place, because I saw on a list somewhere that the recommended reading order was to read these, and then to read the Brazos Bend series that was also first written under the name Geraldine Dawson and have now been republished under the name Emily March, and then the Eternity Spring series by Emily March. So I also read the first in the Brazos Bend series called Luke. The original title, which was published under the Geraldine Dawson name, was something like Give Him the Slip or something like that. So I'm counting this though as a book with a one-word title. This is the edition that I listened to on Audible. Again, it was on the romance package, so that's exciting. There's 2 more in this series, and then a novella, which I believe is kind of a transition book between this Callahan Brothers series and the Eternity Springs. So Luke is part of the Callahan Brothers series. So I haven't yet really seen the connection between the Brazos Bend and the Cedar Dell, but I don't know. Somehow it all connects, and they're all written by the same person, even though it's 2 different author names. So anyway, did I tell you what each thing counted for? I'm not sure I did. Yes, I think I did. Okay, so I don't have much left. Let's get through this. Then, speaking of Texas, now so far I've shown you several books that are set in Texas, but yet none of them featured a cowboy. So I still needed a book that featured a cowboy. So I went to the Jody Thomas list, and I thought, okay, she writes the Harmony series, which I'm reading. In fact, I have one of those books here that I'm counting as a bingo square, but it's not a cowboy book either. So I did discover that she has at least one. Well, she's got a couple of series that that feature cowboys. Of course, a lot of you probably have heard of the Ransom Canyon series, which is her most recent. But the first book of that was not on the Audible Romance package, and this one was. This is Texas Rain by Jody Thomas. It's the first book in the Whispering Mountain series. It's set in the 1800s, and it's about a Texas ranger who falls in love with the woman who steals his horse, and it's so cute, so fun, relatively clean. Well, it is very clean up until right near the end. There's a little bit of steaminess, but you know, I can overlook that. It was really a very enjoyable book, and I'm definitely going to read the rest of the series. In fact, I already have the next 2 checked out from the library: Texas Princess, which I believe is going to be about the Texas Ranger's sister, and Tall, Dark, and Texan. But I just now tried to renew this at the library today. I went online to do it, and it's got a hold on it. So somebody else is reading this fun series too and wants to read that one. So I guess I will send it back, and I'll get it later. That whole series is on the Audible Romance package, so I'm going to listen to it anyway. I don't really need the print book, but I like to have the print books around so I can see what page I'm on and all that. And then speaking of Jody Thomas and the Harmony series, I did read book 2, or listen to book 2 of this somewhere along the way. This is set in the town of Harmony, Texas, and there is some romance, but there's also just a lot of drama about the townspeople. The very first book started out with a young girl, a 16-year-old, who was basically homeless. She had worked in a nursing home with a lady who was originally from Harmony, Texas, and from the lady talking and chatting with her, she learned all about the town and the people and decided she wanted to go there. So she gets to town and tells everybody that she is that lady's granddaughter, and it kind of works out with what they know about that lady. I guess that lady's daughter had left home at a young age, and no one ever really knew what happened to her. So she just kind of made a place for herself in that family and in that town, and this goes on from there, and I really enjoyed it. It's called Somewhere Along the Way, and most of these books in that series are on the Audible Romance package as well. All right, then, oh, did I say I counted this as the challenge to read a contemporary romance. Then, The next one is the book I'm counting for a book featuring a musician, because the love interest in this book is a piano teacher. And I'm kind of clued in that there might be something piano related because of the quilt block here. This series, Welcome to Tyler, is one I started a couple of years ago, and I had not picked up a book. I read the first two a couple of years ago, and I had just been needing and postponing getting this one read. But I was first attracted to it because of the quilt squares. And it's interesting, there's 12 books in the series, and there's a little portion of each quilt square in the cover, and each of these quilt squares refers to the book. So this refers to the first book, this refers to the second one, this refers to the third one, which this is. So see, here's the whole square, and here's a portion of it. So it's pretty cool. And then the next one, we've got a little bit of a car, an old car, so that'll have something to do with the fourth book. And I noticed that Mandy Garrett, who is a booktuber, who is also doing the summer romance book bingo, she was reading the second book, and I don't even know what she was originally counting it for, maybe part of a series. And since I had read it, I commented back to her video, and I was like, hey, that's actually about two coaches, the second book, Bright Hopes. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'll count that for that. And so that's really good, because some of the challenges are so easy to fill, and some are just harder. You don't really know until you read them what you can count it for, and that's the way with this one. So when I picked this up, I saw this and I thought, hey, I wonder if this will feature a musician, because it's called Wisconsin Wedding. It's by Carla Neggers, and I thought, well, maybe the piano is just because of the wedding march or something like that. But very early on, we discover that the main character is a piano teacher, so that's pretty cool. Now, the wedding that this is referring to in the title is actually the wedding of the love interest of the first novel, and the main character, who's a piano teacher, is a department store owner, and she becomes friends with the woman who's getting married because of doing their wedding registry and things like that. So then the woman who is the piano teacher, she also has kind of a hate to love, love to hate to love situation with the brother of the groom. So there's that relationship going on too. So anyway, this was a fun book, a little bit steamy in a couple of parts, but I'm enjoying the series, and I definitely want to read the rest of them. And I think Mandy enjoyed it too. We had a lot of fun writing back and forth. We started out reading a chapter at a time, and then about halfway through we went to 2 chapters, and then we, kind of finished it up from there. So that was good. I think that is everything. Is that 15 books? Let me look at my list. I think that's it. So those are the 15 books I read for the Summer Romance Book Bingo that are all series books. Give me a week or so, and I should have the last 10 books to show you, which are all standalones. So that's all I have for this video. I hope you are having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.